Good day, students. You are welcome to base science class. Today, we want to look at the topic digestive system. We want to look at the topic digestive system. But before we look at that one, let's look at the correction to the last class, the correction to the last assignment class work. Let's look at the question and the correction to it. The first question is explain how the bones and muscles work together for movement. That is, explain how the bones and muscles work together for movement. The answer: bones and muscles work together to bring about bending and straightening of the hand. The contraction and relaxation, of the muscles lead to bending and straightening of the bone. This is because when muscle contracts, there is bending of the bone. When muscle relaxes, there is straightening of the bone. That is the answer to that one. They work together by contraction and relaxation of the muscles. Then there will be movement of the bones. That is what happened over there. So move to the next one to see what happened in the next one. Then the second question is state 3 reasons why human beings need to move. What are the reasons why we need to move? The first reason we need to move is that we need to look for food. It's important for man to move because you have to look for food that you want to eat. So if there's no movement, that's when you can move out to go and look for food to move. The other one, there's need for us to move from danger. If there's any danger, we have to run away from danger. That's another reason why we need to move. Then the next one, in the case of a physical exercise, you have to move. There's no physical exercise that you don't need to move. So you have to move. There's no physical exercise you have to engage that you will not move. So it's one of the reasons why you have to move. You can't just be stagnant in one place. You can't remain at one place during exercise. Vigorous one, you have to move. You have to move. Let's look at the last question. Describe the 2 main types of skeleton. The 2 main types of skeleton, we have the axial skeleton, which is made of the bones of the skull, the ribs, and the vertebral column. Then we also do have the one they call the appendicular skeleton, which is made of the bones of the limbs. That is the bone of the, what I call the limbs. We have the 4 limbs and the eye limbs. The 4 limbs and the eye limbs form the bones of your limbs, while the pelvic girdle and pectoral girdle form the bones of your pelvic girdle, the limbs girdle. We have the limbs, that is 4 limbs and eye limbs, and we have the limbs girdle, which is pelvic girdle and pectoral girdle. Those are the bones that form the appendicular skeleton. And those are the correction to the last topic, which is a skeletal system. Now we want to move on to today's topic, which is a digestive system. But let's look at objective for the topic. We have the first one. At the end of this lesson, students should be able to define digestive system. They should be able to explain the meaning of digestion. Also, they should be able to explain the meaning of digestion. They should be able to draw and list part of human alimentary canal, the human alimentary canal. And finally, they should be able to explain mechanism of digestion in human being. That is the first question we want to ask is, what is digestive system? What is digestive system? Digestive system include alimentary canal. You can see it. Include alimentary canal. All organs and glands relate with digestion of food. All the parts, all the glands, all the organs that helps in the digestion of food form what they call the digestive system. Next one, let's look at you have the diagram for the digestive system. You can see it. All the organs and parts that form the digestive system. You can see the upper parts. You can see this one here. All this one here. You can see all these parts also here. They are all parts of what they form the digestive system. They are all parts of what they form the digestive system. You have to know all this one very well. They are very important. Then let's move to the next one. What is digestion? What is digestion? Digestion is the breaking down. You can see the keyword, the breaking down of large molecules of food particles into simple and absorbable form. Simple and absorbable form. You have to, for use by animal. Not only that, large food molecules has to be broken down into simple one and the one that will be able to absorb by animal. That is what called digestion. Not only simple one, but the one that has been able to absorb by the bloodstream. That is when you call what is termed digestion. And digestion starts from the mouth. You can see it starts from the mouth. You have to know it. Digestion starts from the mouth. That's the first thing you have to know. It starts from the mouth. Then let's move on to the next one. this is structure of the oral cavity, or the one you call the buccal cavity, or the one you call the mouth. I've told you in the last page that they all start from the mouth. This is diagram of the whole mouth. You call it oral cavity or buccal cavity. You see the same thing. Let's move on. We want to look at the next one. What's the meaning of egestion? Egestion. Egestion is the removal of undigested food material from the body of organism. While excretion is the removal of waste product of metabolism. Egestion is derived from excretion. Egestion is the removal of undigested food material, while excretion is the removal of waste product of metabolism. If we are talking about metabolism, we are talking about anabolism, and catabolism. The two of them form what they call the metabolism. So this one, all these waste products that come from anabolism and catabolism form what they call the excreting material. While egestion is the removal of undigested food material from the body of organism. Next one, let's look at part of human urinary canal. The part of human urinary canal consists of mouth, which is the beginning of it. We have the mouth, we have the esophagus, we have which is called gullet, the stomach, the duodenum, the small intestine, which is also called ileum, the caecum, the appendix, the large intestine, which is also called colon, the rectum, and the anus. All these one form what they call the channel through which food passes through during digestion. We call it alimentary canal or alimentary tract. You see the same thing, canal or tract. Now, this is the diagram of human alimentary canal. Diagram of human alimentary canal. Now, let's see the beginning of the journey of the food. I told you that digestion starts from the mouth. That's the first place. Now, digestion of food starts from the mouth. The alimentary canal starts from the mouth. You know, the mouth houses the teeth, the salivary gland, and the tongue. So that is in the mouth. You have your teeth. You have a gland there called salivary gland, and we have what we call the tongue. All these one are within the cavity of the mouth. They are within the cavity of the mouth. So we have the other diagram of the mouth. You can see the mouth there. Exactly where digestion begins. It begins there. Then the teeth, which is also inside the mouth. The teeth are used to cut. You can see, you can use to cut, chew food particles with the aid of incisors, the canine, molar, and premolar. These are the four sets of teeth that we have. We have the incisors, we have the canine, we have the molar, and we have the premolar. All this one helps to cut, grind, and chew food. You have to chew your food very well so that enzyme can work on it. So you can chew them with the aid of your cut them with the aid of the tooth. Is all those tooth that incisors, all this one. Then you can now chew them very well, and before you can now swallow it. So it's very good for you to chew your food very well before you swallow it, so that enzyme can work very well on it. Then we can see the diagram of the mouth, of the teeth. The diagram of the teeth, you can see it. You can see the canine, you can see the premolar, you can see the molar, all this one. They are the mature human being. You can see the diagram of the teeth there. So we move to the next one. Then the tongue, which is also within the mouth cavity. The tongue helps to roll the food into bolus. You can see into bolus. The food will form a kind of bolus. It also aids the movement of the food into the gullet. That is, it helps to roll the food into the gullet. Immediately you leave the mouth, you are coming down into the gullet or the esophagus. So the tongue will help to turn the food into bolus and roll it down or pass it down to the gullet with the aid of a taste bud. We have what they call the taste bud there. Taste bud is always there. We have 4 taste buds, which is on the top. We're on the surface of the tongue. This is diagram of the human tongue. Diagram of human tongue. You can see it. Diagram of human tongue. Let's move to the next one. Diagram of the human tongue, which is always there. We can see the taste bud. All this one helps in. Then on the top of the tongue, we have what we call the salivary gland. It's a gland present in the mouth. It contains the enzyme called ptyalin. The enzyme called ptyalin. You have the enzyme called ptyalin. It's there on the surface of the tongue. The ptyalin helps to convert starch. Example of your starch food is rice. Is that the case? Rice is polysaccharide. Poly means many sugar. Saccharide in science means sugar. Poly means many. So we are talking of many sugar. So you're going to break it. The enzyme which is tyline, is going to break that polysaccharide to maltose sugar, which is disaccharide. It's going to break it from polysaccharide to disaccharide, which is a maltose sugar. That is the function of the enzyme tyline, which is present on the surface of the tongue. On the surface of the tongue, which is all within the mouth cavity. You can see the diagram of the tyline, the salivary gland. You can see there. You can see there the salivary gland of human being is always there, right on the tongue there. And I've told you it contains the enzyme tyline. It contains the enzyme tyline. Then we have the next chamber you are going to is esophagus. Once you leave the mouth, you are coming to esophagus, which is also called the gullet. Esophagus or the gullet is there. Is that the case? It connects the mouth to the stomach. Esophagus connects the mouth to the stomach. There is no enzyme in the esophagus. It's just a channel through which food moves from the mouth to the stomach. And the food moves by what they call peristaltic movement. It undergoes what they call peristaltic movement. You can see it. It undergoes what they call peristaltic movement. That's movement of that food along the esophagus. Esophagus is very muscular. So sometimes you can see traces of food as moving. So you can see the diagram of esophagus. It's very muscular. You can see the movement of some solid food when they are passing through the esophagus. It's very good. Then we have the stomach. Once you leave the esophagus, you are coming to the stomach. The stomach contains gastric gland. There's a gland there, we call it gastric gland. Is that gland? That gland secretes what we call gastric juice. The juice contains two enzymes, which are renin and pepsin. Renin and pepsin. The wall of the stomach also contains hydrochloric acid. Food is stored temporarily in the stomach. So you can see that in the stomach, there is a gland called gastric gland. That gland secretes juice called gastric juice. This juice contains two enzymes, which are pepsin and renin. The wall of the stomach also contains hydrochloric acid. Both renin and pepsin and renin are proteinous enzymes. They only act on protein food. And food is stored temporarily in the stomach. Food is stored temporarily in the stomach. Then that's the diagram of the stomach. You can see the diagram of the stomach there. Then we have the pepsin and renin. Both are proteinous enzymes. The pepsin breaks down protein to peptone. You can see. The renin acts only on milk and conduits, that is turned to a viscous liquid. The hydrochloric acid provide the acidic medium for the enzyme. Those two enzymes, that is pepsin and renin, can only work in acidic medium. So it's that HCl that provide that medium for those two enzymes to work actively. The HCl, the hydrochloric acid, also help to kill the bacteria in the stomach. So you can see the function of that hydrochloric acid. It provides medium for the two enzymes to work. It also kills the bacteria in the stomach. It kills the bacteria in the stomach. So next chamber is duodenum. Once you leave your stomach, you are coming to the duodenum. Duodenum contains juice called pancreatic juice. That juice secretes three enzymes, which are amylase, lipase, and trypsin. Amylase is an enzyme that acts on carbohydrates. Lipase acts on fat and oil, while trypsin acts on protein. You can see at various chambers, there are enzymes that act on each food. The juice here is alkaline in nature, but the juice in the stomach is acidic. But when the food now gets to the duodenum, the juice that is there, which is pancreatic juice, is alkaline in nature. So it's going to neutralize the acidic power of the food coming from the stomach. That is why it is the function of that alkaline. It's going to neutralize the function. Then you can see the diagram of human duodenum. You can see the diagram of human and the label of the part. Then we have the three enzymes that are inside the duodenum. That's amylase, lipase, and trypsin. The amylase converts starch to maltose. It converts starch into maltose. As I've told you, starch is polysaccharide, maltose is disaccharide. The lipase converts fat and oil to fatty acid and glycerol, while trypsin converts your peptone to polypeptide. If I convert to polypeptide, the pepsin inside the stomach will convert your protein to peptone. But right inside the duodenum, this trypsin will now convert that peptone to polypeptide. So what I say that amylase acts on starch food and converts to maltose, while lipase acts on any fat and oil food, like your margarine, butter, and convert to fatty acid and glycerol, while trypsin is going to convert that peptone that is coming from stomach to polypeptides. That is how you see the action of all those enzymes, how they act on it. Then the food, there's a part of the digestive system which we call the gallbladder. The gallbladder. This one do not contain any enzyme. It do not contain any enzyme. You can see the digestion of fat and oil is aided by a green liquid called bile. It only aids the digestion of fat and oil. And this bile is secreted by a structure called gallbladder. It's gallbladder that secretes bile. Bile helps in digestion of fat and oil. It aids in digestion of fat and oil by emulsifying it. It turns into a very viscous solid. Very viscous solid. That is what is going to happen. So let's move to the next one. We have the structure of the gallbladder. The gallbladder, structure of a gallbladder there. The function of the bile. The bile helps in emulsification of fat. It helps in, that is, breaking of fat into tiny droplets. Exactly. The food will now be in liquid form called chyle. In liquid form called chyle. That's how it's going to look like. After emulsifying it, that's how it's going to look like. So let's move to the next slide. Let's see the next one. We have the small intestine. After leaving your duodenum, the food is now coming to the small intestine. Two major events take place in the small intestine. These are digestion and absorption. Digestion and absorption take place in the small intestine, and absorption take place in the small intestine. That is, digestion and absorption take place in the small intestine. The small intestine contains 5 enzymes, you can see, which are maltase, sucrase, lactase, lipase, and erepsin. 5 good enzymes. In the duodenum, we have 3 enzymes. But right here in the small intestine, we have 5 good enzymes. And each of them act on different food material. So let's look at how they act on different sugar. There's a diagram of a small intestine. Then let's look at the enzymatic action in the small intestine. I told you that small intestine contains 5 enzymes. The first one, we have the sucrase. Sucrase is going to act on sucrose and convert it to glucose and fructose. Sucrose is a disaccharide. Glucose and fructose are 2 monosaccharides. What I'm saying is that we get 2 monosaccharides from 1 disaccharide. Sucrase is an enzyme that acts on sucrose. Sucrose is disaccharide, and it's going to break to 2 monosaccharides, which are glucose and glucose. Another one is lactase. Lactase acts on lactose. Lactose is also disaccharide. It's going to break down to 2 monosaccharides, which are glucose and galactose. We have lipase. Lipase converts fat and oil to fatty acid and glycerol. We have seen that one before in the duodenum. Then we have the one called erepsin. Erepsin will now convert that polypeptide to amino acid. Then we have maltase. Maltase acts on maltose. Maltose is disaccharide. Maltose is disaccharide. It's going to break into 2 monosaccharides, which are glucose and glucose. So sucrase, lactase, and maltase. There are 3 enzymes that are acting on carbohydrate food. Sucrase acts on sucrose and convert it to 2 glucose, to 2 monosaccharides, which is glucose and fructose. Lactase acts on lactose and convert it to 2 monosaccharides, which is glucose and galactose. While maltase acts on maltose and convert it to 2 monosaccharides, which is glucose and glucose. Example of your sucrose is your cane sugar, your sugar cane. If you are taking sugar cane, the sugar there is called sugar. If you are taking milk, the sugar in milk is called lactose sugar. So the lactase will act on it and convert it to glucose and galactose. If you are taking malt drink, any malt drink, the sugar in that malt drink is called maltose sugar. The maltase will act on it and convert to glucose and glucose. While the lipase converts your fatty acid, fat and oil to fatty acid and glycerol. So action of let's look at absorption of digested food. All the above food end products, this one, are absorbed. They are all absorbed in the small intestine. That's why absorption is possible because of the finger-like structure called villi, which will occur through diffusion. Villi is on the surface of the small intestine. It helps to absorb all these food products directly into the bloodstream. Those are the end products that body needs, not the large amount of food you have eaten, but the end products that you have absorbed into the bloodstream. This is a diagram of the villi, which is on the surface of the small intestine that helps in the absorption. Then we have the next chamber, which is chiton and appendix. Chiton contain bacteria which help in cellular digestion and helps what in synthesis of vitamin K and D complex. They don't contain any enzymes. They only contain bacteria. In fact, the appendix sometimes, if it's blocked, it leads to what's called appendicitis. So you should know that it's not good to be eating fruit that has a lot of acid because of appendicitis. Then we have the diagram of the appendix and chiton. The large intestine, like the undigested food, you can see the undigested food passes through the large intestine, water concentrates it and turn into feces. So the undigested food will now pass through the large intestine, which is also called the colon. Then water will turn into, and other material will join with it to turn into feces. Then that's the diagram of large intestine. Then the rectum and anus, which is last part. The feces pass through the rectum, it passes through the rectum and finally out of the body through the anus. That is what happened. To that is undigested food will now move out of the body. Then you can see the diagram of rectum and anal. The conclusion, in the course of this lesson, we have been able to understand the meaning of digestive system, digestion, digestion, part of human urinary canal, enzymatic action in stomach, duodenum, and the small intestine. All this one we have been able to identify all this one in our course of study. So assignment: define digestive system, difference between digestion and absorption, what is function of gullet, explain the role of a hydrochloric acid. Then these are further reading. You can consult all this one if you want to go into further reading. So we have come to the